how many pounds of rice fit into a 1 pound bag, you know, that type of shit. Because I'm gonna get some of those Mylar bags, but it's like, man, how much rice do I need to fit into a bag? You know, it'd be nice to know that stuff would be nice to know before we get in.
Yeah, we're live just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, I'll put my pants back on.
Okay, put the drawers back on there.
All right, we're back again for another Tuesday night chat. We've already alluded we may do a little bit of prepping talk, but if Rosie wants to, Rosie's the expert on economics on this panel. I know enough not to play with the stock market. That's about how much I know about it. I do watch it and kind of pay attention to the economy and stuff, but by no means am no expert or well read into it. So, Rosie, well, let me take it back. Rosie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Rosie O'Kelly channel, everything from moonshining to entertainment to metal detecting to this, that, and the other, occasional politics, prepping, RVing thrown in. Always happy to be here, and I want to give a big shout out to Drew Foy, who's usually here on Wednesday nights on the side chat. Drew was admitted to hospital this evening. He has a pretty bad infection over his eye, which is basically enveloped his eye. So a big shout out to him, and get better soon, Drew. We miss you on the side chat already. Thank you, TR.
You're welcome. Blue, would you like to introduce yourself, man?
Blue, I got a small channel. It's been raining here for the last 2 days, but we need it, so no bitching on that part of it. Just thanks for the invite as always.
No problem. And like I said, well, what I was started out wrong, say, you know, just going straight in. But anyhow, Rosie, would you like to talk about the volatile stock market right now?
Well, we've certainly talked about for the past 6 weeks about the way things seem to be drifting down and the problems. It seems to be some of the economic problems are now spreading into the third-tier countries. Some currencies are getting pretty shaky in the Far East, some of the traditional ones that weaken out when times get tough. We've had Japan just taking tremendous hits over there. We've had China just continue to be mauled. I don't know what level they are off their peak now, but none of the indicators are looking good. So everybody's just on kind of you know, manning the battle stations here, and just you know, of course, I did selling a long time ago, but what I'm saying is just seeing if there's any bleed into the economy for all the uncertainty. I heard Caterpillar's going to be cutting 10,000 people down your way. TR Miller Brewing is going to be closing a canning or bottling facility down there for Miller beer in the Carolinas. So I'm kind of interested in asking you off the bat, TR, because you are in support manufacturing there. Are you still pumping out widgets at a furious pace there?
Yeah, the economy around here seems to be pretty good. Some Chinese company just announced that they're, I think, going to build a plant actually in Travelers Rest. It's supposed to, I forget how many it was going to employ, but you know, several hundred people or whatever. Maybe, I doubt 1,000, but several hundred people. And Mitsubishi just announced that they were expanding. They have a big plastic, it's like film, plastic film, like saran wrap or whatever. I don't know exactly what they make film for, but that type of, you know, stretched out. I mean, all I know is they make trash bags. I really don't know. But anyway, that they're expanding. So this area seems to be doing okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best business climates down there that you could be in terms of government. But the thing that I've been following, that's the real thing that made me perk up, is we have this idea. You know, it's strange. You know, the Fed on the one hand has these debates about, ooh, should we raise the Fed funds rate, you know, the borrowing rate on money from basically 0 to 1/4%. And yet at the same time, they're debating and floating these trial balloons about negative interest rates as the next step if they have to combat deflation on a global scale, which means basically to keep your money on deposit at the Federal Reserve or to keep your money on deposit at a bank, you actually have to pay the bank to keep your money on deposit there. So it's something that has happened a few times in history, not really by design, but this could be a terrible blow if this stupid idea catches on, which is basically like, don't bring us money to the banks. Don't keep putting your money into safe federal securities and stuff. You're taking liquidity out of the general economy, and you're sticking it basically under a mattress in the bank. But you can imagine what's going to happen if you start to have negative interest rates set by banks and the Federal Reserve. The money's going to come out of the banks because who in the hell is going to pay to put their money on deposit in a bank? It's going to go into mattresses and other crazy places, and the effects of something like this could really suck liquidity out of this economy, and we could really, really be in the crapper. So, it's another one of these harebrained ideas that starts to get some legs when times get a little tough, like they are right now. So that's something you'll want to keep an eye on. You might perk your ears once in a while when you hear that coming up, because it'll be a very strange concept to people, the idea of negative interest rates. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and I've heard that. I've heard them talking about that on the mainstream media. That they're it's like, what, negative interest rates?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, if you encourage people not to use the banks, they're not going to use the banks. And with the super low interest rates, even if you had a savings account or whatever, it's drawing so little money that it's not worth even having it in there. You're probably better off with it under your mattress.
Well, when you figure that interest rates have not been raised for 9 years in this country, you can imagine the damage that's been wrought on the savings sector of the U.S. economy. It overforced a lot of people into a stock market and created, really for all intents and purposes, not a mega bubble, but a pretty big bubble since the bottom in 2009. And a lot of money is being sheared off the top of that market right now in a really, really painful kind of way. So there's a lot of cross currents and a lot of things that are happening and did happen that have a lot of unintended consequences from a low interest rate environment from so many years. We've basically destroyed the savings ethic in this country now by not rewarding saving and just overconsumption of credit. That stuff still goes on with credit card mailers. Nobody wants to have your money in the bank, but everybody wants you to borrow their money. It's all about borrowing money, not saving money, because the banks are struggling. The oxygen is coming out of the system of banking.
Yeah, I read an article today. If I said the name, you'd recognize it, but I can't remember what his name was. It was a story in the USA Today, part of the paper, but it was some billionaire that,
Carl Icahn.
That might have been it. It might be the one that was talking about. He was talking about how people aren't putting money in banks, and it's like the only way they can make money with these low interest rates is play the stocks. And just like you said, it kind of created its own bubble there, because you got people just throwing money into something. Maybe, I'm not saying buying stocks were bad, but at the same time, it was kind of like falsely done. It wasn't.
Well, let's just put it this way, TR, and I'll wrap up on this note. If you're buying something because the alternatives are not attractive, that's not a very good reason to be a positive buyer of something. It has to be attractive on its own merits, not because the other choices are deficient in some way, shape, or form. It's got to be attractive on its own, and when you drive people into a market just because there's nothing else that's a worthwhile investment, well, you're setting yourself up for potential potential disaster, because if you don't know why you got into something, you're sure as hell not going to know why or when you should get the hell out of it. So,
Exactly. The token was asking about mortgage.
hey, Rick.
Yep. What's up, Rick? She said give him a minute. We'll give him a second.
How you guys doing out there?
Good. Nice to see you, Rick.
You too. Life is good. Lots of rain. Use it.
Raining in California?
No, tomorrow I'll be in California. I keep hearing, oh man, the drought in North Carolina. I keep cracking up every time I hear that shit.
What was the tokens question?
I don't know. Ask again, the token. I don't think she ever asked. She just asked if we knew anything or you knew anything about mortgages, and then they got talking about different stuff, but she never asked a specific question. So go ahead.
Well, most people say, is it a good time to lock in a rate? Yes, it is.
They are selling houses or building houses like crazy around here. And I'm not talking, well, for you guys in California, it may not seem that much, but $200,000 to $300,000 up to $400,000 houses, that is an expensive fucking house in South Carolina. Yeah. That's 3-story with a basement, a gate, a gated community, the whole 9 yards,
Yeah, that's 1,000 square feet and a detached garage and a maybe 5,000, 3,000 square foot lot here.
And I heard somebody, I forget who said it. I think it was somebody knew somebody that just bought a house, like their brother-in-law or something. And it was about a $200,000 or $250,000 house. And I want to say he said his house payment was $900. Now, how many years it was financed or anything like that, I do not know. But I know.
Well, let's ask Rick. I mean, Rick just moved out and you got a hell of value for your. Right? I mean, why don't you tell people that story of the trade you did of trading away California for Carolina?
Well, we basically, the price of the house was the same, but we had, I basically got to have 14 acres of, I wouldn't call it prime real estate, but I don't really know. But it's nice. I got pastures, I got a lot of forest, so I got a lot of wood that I can use to heat the house if I need to. Got a little pond with some fish in it, so pretty excited. It's that was everything great. Else is cheaper, like registration for vehicles. I've noticed is a lot cheaper. Water is freaking. I used to pay like $400 to $500 a month for water, depending on what month it was, and our water bill was $30.
You paid how much for water?
$400 to $500 sometimes for water.
Yeah,
most expensive water bill I ever had was $1,000.
You have little kids with buckets bringing it to your house or something?
It's crazy, I'm telling you.
Wow.
So just the cost of living out here is a little, the fuel is huge. I think it was $1.89 in South Carolina, which is just down the street, for a gallon of fuel. Where I'll be tomorrow, it'll be like $3 a gallon.
Yeah.
Around here, water bills can be a little bit more than that, depending on if you got city sewage and stuff. Like me, I don't.
Well, I was going to ask Rick, TR, I don't know how big a piece of land did you have there, Rick, with 14 acres. Do you do anything with that, or just basically make sure there's no safety hazards, no, crazy fire danger hazards? I mean, what do you do when you have 14 acres of land besides enjoy the peace and quiet?
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with, for us, was there was a lot of things I wanted. I wanted property so I could farm. I could have cattle, pigs, basically just be a homesteader. I have a small stream on the east side of my property, so I have fresh water coming in. It still needs to be filtered, but I have fresh water. I have I feel excited because I've just moved, so I don't want to. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just extremely excited. So, but we have the ability to have water now, which is huge. And TR and I have been talking about running some hydro generators to try to just come up with some cheap additional power that we could use later. So that's something in the progress that is way down the road because I still got 48,000 boxes of shit. But it's
I'm jealous of the
mowed.
hydro.
A lot of it's mowed. Yeah, and
So
there's
you
a
have
lot of
you have a stream coming through there, Rick, or something like that. You got
yeah. There's a stream, and then there's a pond that's that fills by basically spring water.
okay.
There's two inlets that fill it with spring water, and I feel blessed to have what we have. I mean, I can grow stuff. I saw 6 deer playing in the field. So it's completely different than California. I kind of knock California for certain things like gun laws and stuff. A lot of the people are still nice and cool, but a lot of them are shitbags. But it's a great place. I mean, I really love it out here. It's been raining for the last 4 days, which I'm kind of like, but the water's great to have, so I can't complain at all. Kind of like Blue said earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to work on your hydro whenever you get ready for that. I'm excited to work on that just because that's something I can't do, and I would love to see that working and playing around with that.
Yeah, that'd be cool videos too, putting something like that together.
Yeah.
Because that's 24/7 power coming in. Just like you said, I mean, it's been raining here for 5 or 6 days. I'm having to turn the freaking charger on and charge my battery bank with, the grid power because it's been had no sun.
Yeah. You know what? Our pond's actually full. It was about 1.5 foot low. No, not that much. It was about 1 foot low, and it's all the way back up, and it's actually running out the spillway. I mean, we've gotten a lot of water.
It sounds like a great place. Is it in eastern or western Carolina? I guess
It's in the western. Yeah, it's just below Asheville.
Mm-hmm. Nice there. It's all my family's all out of Asheville.
Yeah.
Yep, me and him are almost neighbors now.
I think, what would you say it was, about 15 minutes, TR?
Yeah, well, you said you're in the Hendersonville area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes. 30 at the most, depending on what back roads.
Plus, taxes must be pretty negligible, too.
Oh, man, it's so much cheaper. The house we owned before in California was a large house because my mom was really sick, so when we purchased a house, I wanted to have like a guest house that she could, stay in. And so we bought something that we really didn't want. Not so much we didn't want, we didn't need it. It was, I don't know, it was about 6 years ago.
I think at a high price then on that.
Yeah, it was basically an investment. The guy basically had a really high price and kept going down. Finally, we bought it thinking we could make some money on it, and we didn't make shit on it.
And you probably got a high property tax bill with the Prop 13.
It was big.
See, we were the opposite. I came in May of 2011 when the market had just absolutely bottomed out. People were standing at a table just screaming at me not to buy real estate, that I had to be out of my mind. So we locked in this ridiculously low, with the Prop 13, your property tax is always fixed at 1% of your property's value, and it can only go up 2% a year. Something you never have to really worry about that. So it's a double-edged sword, though. But it's a good thing you got out and you got a place that you really like, Rick. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's everywhere I go, man, I get lost. If it wasn't for my phone and Siri, I'd still be out in some goddamn road somewhere.
Yeah, everything took care of, Blue?
Yeah, the wife decided to come out and talk to me at the man cave.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry to change the subject. Yeah, Brant brought up, I didn't want to interrupt, we got Volvo moving to South Carolina too, but that's in the lower part of the state, if I'm not mistaken. But still, it doesn't matter. Yeah, South Carolina,
you guys were...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you guys were talking about the mortgage rates and everything, and I just switched down from, which somebody in the chat, I was following that, they were saying 30 years, it will kill you. with a 30-year mortgage, and I just switched from a 30 to a 15. Sucked up a credit card from my last divorce into with the new loan that I got for the house and that credit card, and I'm basically down to a 3.8% for 15 years. So, yeah, now's the time to do it. Everybody's saying now's the time to do it.
Yeah, because if you have, imagine we have this, you guys are famous for talking about fiat currencies and managed currencies and all that. We're starting to have these fights over what currency should be worth. And China trying to devalue the yuan, and you know, Japan flaking with the yen, and you could envision a place where people start to lose their yardsticks of value when it comes to currencies. And the thing is, and the result, the place that's reflected is interest rates. And you know, if lending to governments start to be perceived as more risky, see, I think really Japan's like the canary in the coal mine more than China is, because they're so stretched out off after almost 20 years in a depression. They're just about reached the end of the rope for trying to pull out of that thing. And I'm just saying, if you see interest rates start to tick up on lending to government, then you know, the private sector rates start to follow behind that, and you could be in a tough situation if you're on a floating mortgage. So now's the time to get it locked. It's not going to really get much better than it is. You know, the difference is really negligible if you're talking about 0.5% or 0.25% on a 15-year.
And I can't say, you know, I don't, like I said, I'm not an expert on all this stuff, but I read an article talking about, or watched a video, hell, I can't remember now, information overload, but and it was talking about the interest rates, just like we're talking about, and it was comparing it to several years ago when there were a little bit of interest, you know, that that the government had to pay these banks for we're borrowing, you know, the Fed deal and blah, 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 on these bonds and what have you. And we were actually paying like less money to make the principal payment, or not principal, but paying the interest on our national debt now than it was when it was several $1 trillion less. I'm not sure that ain't a reason, one of the reasons the interest rate is so low, to keep the government's payments back to the Fed lower, or the banks.
I think the demand for money is just so weak right now in the economy. I think that's the major. I mean, people think the Federal Reserve has this ability to really control, but anybody that follows the market, they could see like the Treasury bill rate, which is like the lowest, shortest term note that you're lending to the government, like a 30, 60, 90-day T-bills. That was only 0.077 of 1% interest for lending your money in short term to the government. So anybody that was talking about the Fed raising rates to 0.25%, that would have effectively put the rate at 4 times the market rate on there. The Fed really follows that T-bill rate. They really don't lead it. So anybody that's been banging around a while in the markets knew with pretty good assurance that they weren't going to be doing anything to raise rates. If anything, they're sitting there worried. I don't know if you saw Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve chairwoman, was giving a speech last Thursday after the market closed. When it came to the end, it looked like she had a mini stroke on the speaking platform, and they had to go make a million excuses for that. You know, some people, there's a lot of pressure there that's not, they don't allow to be seen, but there's a lot of behind-the-scenes bullshit going on right now that you can read it in these people's faces sometimes. They're not liking what they're dealing with right now.
Yeah. And yeah, we touched
as JD in New Jersey said, if they start, you know, if rates do start to rise up, then they'll be held to pay in the borrowing markets on the, you know, rolling over debt, and then you'll really see the national debt explode in a major way.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting when it was showing the payments that we're making on the interest, because that seems like that's all we're doing. You know, we're not paying the debt down, we're just paying the interest on it. And if those rates went up even just a little bit, we're seeing that we're at $18 trillion. It don't take but just a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I mean, you're like doubling the payments.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, when you figure we haven't had an interest rate rise in 9 years, what are the odds we're going to go another 9 without some type of same? We've never had a period in the course of history with that. You know, so we're in unusual times. That's your first signal that something weird, really weird, is going on. So it's just little things like that catch my attention constantly.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean, I guess it's on the same subject. I know we touched on silver the other day, you know, how it, not necessarily trying to make money off silver, but to protect your money.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine, he lives on his way home from work. He goes by a couple of little coin shops or what have you. You know, we can sell gold, buy gold, and that kind of stuff. They're little spot places, but really good rates. They sell you, they straight up, they're really good. But anyway, the one he got, you know, was talking to the guy. And this has happened a few months ago too, but he's now having more and more people come in there and just wipe them out, buying like $6,000 worth of silver at a time.
Mm-hmm.
When he went in there the day before yesterday, I guess yesterday, the only silver that the man had in his store was just what was in his display case. He had nothing in the back, in his safe, or nothing like that. Because this guy come in and bought, you know, like I said, it's a fairly small shop, but still $6,000 worth of silver is a good bit of silver at one time.
Well, it gives you a feel-good factor if you have something put away besides just dollars stuffed in the mattress. That's for sure. So,
yeah,
a couple thousand rounds, and you know, some dehydrated, and you're.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I got a little bit of silver. When I say little, I mean just a few $100s worth of silver. But yeah, the rest of my precious metals is lead, copper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That could be the most precious metal of all. So.
Yeah. And even just buying it, I mean, if it's something you may use eventually or may not use or hand down to your kids or whatever, I mean, it's just like anything else in prepping. Ammunition is an investment because the price ain't never coming down. I mean, we have seen it go up and come down during the scare, don't get me wrong. Because there was a scare, a lot of places jumped their price up and it's eased back down to about where it was at. Counting in a little inflation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you pay, you know, $300 for 1,000 rounds today, 5 years from now, I guarantee you're not going to buy 1,000 rounds of 223 for $300.
Can I get an amen on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just almost like buying the silver. It may go up in value. You're really not getting anything more than what you know. It's just going up with inflation. So if you just like a can of beans, if you can buy a can of beans for 50 cents a day. And then 3 weeks from now, all you can find on the shelf is 89 cents. Well, see, there's your investment. You know,
well, that's what the token silver is not going to make you money in the short term. It will be a general store of wealth, but it's pretty darn useless when the shit hits the fan. At least initially, that's in my opinion, that's beautifully said. That statement. There are things like ammo, a bar of soap or two, things that can have real utility to people. I think those become the water filters, all that kind of stuff has some real value.
And I've already proven on my channel, you cannot melt silver down and make a bullet out of it.
You gave it a hell of a try, though.
Oh, wow.
Hey, keep that quiet so the vampires don't hear.
Jeez. Can you imagine the trouble they go through, vampire killers?
I was able to make the 45% silver bullets, but you can't take a bar of silver and melt it down and make a bullet. I wasted 2 ounces of damn silver trying to do it.
Yeah, but you just
for an ugly bullet. Huh?
You just saved 1,000 people the same amount of effort.
Yeah. I didn't know. I watched Lone Ranger. They just had a campfire and melted down silver bullets. Now I know it's full of shit.
Push it on there.
Yeah, they might have had some lead content in that, some lead like pewter or something like that. That might do you a little better. Lead and silver, but yeah.
Yeah, lead and gold is 2 totally different metals. They don't have the same properties. I think you probably could melt gold down because it's closer to lead, but silver is hard. Very, very hard.
Yeah, have you ever heard of pewter? Would they make pewter silver that has high lead content in it? And it's a grayish sort of metal that they use for some
jewelry.
Well, jewelry and for like buffet tables that people will put pewterware and things on it. It doesn't have the high shine of silver, but it has sort of a grayish look to it, pewter.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has a lot of lead content.
That's to keep people from stealing your silverware.
Mm-hmm. Keep people from biting it to see if it's real.
Yeah.
You'd break a tooth on real silver.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys going to
Very
talk
hard.
about on prepping tonight?
Well, Blue was asking about Mylar bags. I still got one. This is like my studio. I got props everywhere. This is a 1 gallon bag. I can't remember how many pounds it holds. This has got pinto beans in it. I don't know, a couple pounds maybe.
Did you have to iron it, or did you have a machine?
No, I ironed it. I just used regular iron, and I got the oxygen depleters. You can buy kits on Amazon where it'll have, like, you know, you can buy 10 gallon bags or 10 5-gallon bags or whatever. And I actually do suggest these. I did the 5-gallon buckets to start with, and then the second time I bought some more, I went with a gallon. I just thought they was a little more usable size.
Does it have the Ziploc on the bottom? A lot of those newer ones, you can flip it over after you know, all the air is sucked out of it, and then you can tear the top off and then have a zipper, like cheese bag, you know, like shredded
Yeah,
cheese
so you
bag.
could pull one section at a time?
No, like think of a big bag, you know, that would fit in a 5-gallon bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But you know shredded cheese, how it comes where you pull the top off, and then there's the zipper.
Mm-hmm.
So you flip it over backwards, you do that, and then you iron it. Well, you throw the things in it, iron it, and then when you go to use it, instead of having to cut a big hole in it and then having air get back in it, you flip it over, and then you tear off the top, and then you have a Ziploc.
Yeah.
So you can close it back up.
I think with like beans and rice, even once you opened it, it would take several years before you'd really. I mean, it'd be good to reseal it, even if you didn't have any more oxygen depleters. But I got a buddy of mine who's Vietnamese, and
What was
he
he?
buys it. Huh? You get the way I said that? That's the best I can do, man.
I'm just reading the side chat.
It's Vietnam, okay?
I'm just getting used to the lingo. Just keep going. I'm just trying to learn. I'm learning.
I'm just enjoying the side chat.
Resealable.
He's from Vietnam. All right.
Copy. Gotcha.
Yeah, anyway, and I've been with him when he went and shop and got some groceries and stuff at the little local Asian store, and he was buying like 25, I think it was 25 pounds of rice at a time, and putting it in 5-gallon buckets. Maybe it's only 10 or 15 pounds, whatever. But he said it would take him a couple of years to go through it, and he didn't do nothing. I mean,
How
it was
about
just poured
stuff
in.
like dried spaghetti or macaroni, stuff like that, dried pasta?
Yeah, they say pasta lasts a long time too. It's probably better to seal it up just to keep moisture and stuff away from it. But.
Yeah, Galen's saying he long time even unsealed. I mean, the bags they come in. I think we should make some 12-gauge shotgun shells out of them. We gotta hurt a little bit.
I would guess that rice and beans are probably two things that would be a good core thing for preppers to have, would be rice and beans, because of the protein of the beans and the starch and carbohydrates of the rice. And also it stores very well.
Now, TR, for somebody like me that's just now ordered the 1-gallon Mylar bags, if you had to make a guesstimate, how many pounds of rice would it take to, I don't want to say, you know, top it off, but, you know, how many pounds of rice would you put in a 1-gallon bag, roughly?
I have to do some figuring here because I forget how many. When I did the, I know
2 or 3.
I'm trying to remember if it was 25 or 50 pounds. I think it was 50 pounds. Yeah, a 5-gallon bucket will hold 33 pounds.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of dry weight too.
Yeah. Yeah, a 5-gallon. When I did my first initial big mile, when I decided, hey, I'm doing this, I'd already been buying a little bit, you know, just at the grocery store. And then when I decided, I went to Sam's, like a Costco's, if y'all don't have Sam's in your area. I bought 200 pounds of rice and beans. Went at Home Depot on the way home, bought like 10 buckets because I didn't know how many I needed. And I ended up using 6 buckets. And it was like, you know, 3 for the pinto beans and 3 for the rice. It was, you know, it ended up being, does that sound right? I forget. So anyhow, it somehow comes out.
Blue, I think you're on the right track though with the gallon buckets, because even if the gallon Mylars, because even if you have a 5-gallon bucket, it's nicer to have that stuff separated. Kind of like with ammunition. I vacuum seal ammunition, and I put, like, depending on what gun it is, if it's a 30-round mag, I'll set it up to either, you know, fill 2 30-round mags, or, you know, do in increments of the 30. So you have a straight up, you can throw a bag to someone, and there you go, there's 2 mags worth. Or, you know how you have it set up where you can have those gallon bags, the same thing, or have that same bucket but have 3 different types or 4 different types of stuff in there. You know what I mean?
And some people are talking about, some people are talking about mason jars on the side too, that they're good proportions. But I'll tell you, if you bought all that rice and all those beans, 6 of those buckets, I mean, that would last you a long time, and it's portable too, in case you ever had to, God forbid, or something, go somewhere else. That wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to transport with you either.
I think that's why a lot of,
go ahead, T.
I was just going to say, I think that's why a lot of people go with the 5-gallon buckets, because it is somewhat easy to transport. And it was 100 pounds of rice and 100 pounds of beans.
Wow.
And they took up 3 buckets apiece. That's where I come up with the 33 pounds, you know, because that's, you know, equal divided. That's about what it was. But actually, after I did that, I bought some more later on, and that's when I went with the 1 pound, because I just thought these were a little bit more. And if you hadn't seen any of these Mylar bags, man, these things are pretty thick. Mm-hmm. So you really don't need a bucket or anything. You can just put these in your prepping storage or whatever. Just put them on the shelf. And this is what an oxygen depleter will do to it. It sucks it down like I vacuum packed it. But this is not vacuum packed. That's just the oxygen depleter in it. It takes it about 3 days to do that, but it'll take a few days, but it'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, look at the results that you got there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, my thought is, I mean, 5-gallon would be nice for, you know, like a community type storage, but for family storage, you know, I got a family of 5, and a 1 pound bag of rice that's, you know, sealed up. If you mix, I mean, you know, you're not just going to eat straight up rice. You're going to mix it with stuff. You know, I would rather open up, you know, one gallon bag per 2 weeks, rather than open up a 5-gallon bag and have it months before you use it. I mean, I realize it'll still stay, but
no, good point. It is definitely a good point. You won't die of starvation. You'll die of boredom with your food.
Right.
That's
okay. So that means I was a 1 gallon. It feels kind of heavy, but I wasn't sure. You should be able to get about 6 pounds in one of these.
Is that beans or rice?
Beans.
What kind? Just pinto beans or something like that?
Pinto.
Okay.
That's all they had at Sam's.
That's fine. Beans, beans.
In my theory on the beans and rice is, you get the beans and rice, and that's the way I did. You stock up on the beans and rice. You don't want to live on that, of course, if you can help it, but you pretty much could.
Yeah, you could. That's what I'm just saying. If worst case scenario, you could support yourself a hell of a long time on beans and rice.
Yeah, but then what I done is I just buy regular canned goods that you buy at the grocery store, and then that would be your different flavors. You know, I mean, I don't care if it's a can of just stewed tomatoes. You could have some rice, put stewed tomatoes on it, just to give you some flavor, just to give you some variety. You put Denny Moore beef stew on it. I mean, anything. There ain't much you could pour out of a can that you couldn't pour on rice and make a variety.
Make it good, yeah.
And basically, you're just doing a filler. I mean, it's
even just salt and pepper is sometimes pretty good too.
Well, that's a good point too, Rosie. Without some simple spices, man, you can, you know, just a few simple spices can turn a shitty meal into an okay decent one.
And that's and salt. If nothing else, if you don't do nothing else but stock salt, and I can tell you how to do it. It's the cheapest, easiest way to do it. I did it even yesterday when I went to the Tractor Supply and I found those packs. It was real cheap. You go to a feed and seed and you buy the white blocks of salt. They're only about $6. That's 50 pounds of salt.
The salt lick?
Yeah, salt lick.
Yeah.
What, at a Tractor Supply or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's not like the salt you'd buy in the store where it's got the
No,
iodine.
it'll work. It'll work. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't buy salt with iodine in it anyway. I buy sea salt or
Yeah, and if you're hurting for vitamin C, just go eat a few dandelions every day. You'll be all good.
Yeah. But that's the best way to get the salt, and it'll fit in a 5-gallon bucket if you do want to seal it. You don't have to seal it up, but if you want to put it in something so kind of keep a little moisture and, you know, keep it from getting moldy or whatever, you know.
And Rick had mentioned he was vacuum sealing ammo.
Yeah.
How far does that extend your shelf life on that, a rough approximation?
Well, you can take. I've been doing it for a long time now. It depends on the application. It depends on how you like it. The best way to do it is to use Mylar bags, and the reason why I say that is the bags that I was using that come with the machine. I can't remember the name of the machine I have. I bought it at Costco, and it's a nice machine, but the bags suck. It's smooth on one side, and you can feel like a texture on the bottom. And they work really good. They vacuum seal real nice, but then they're very thin. So you need to use a better bag. And then you can use those, like, you know, where you go buy a pair of shoes and it has that silica sand stuff, or you could even throw some rice in there, basically. Throw that in there. That ammo, your kids could shoot that shit. Their grandkids can shoot that stuff.
Yeah, you got to take care of that stuff. We just put it in the government issue cases and throw a couple of those things that the dehydrators in there that they're supposed to keep the moisture out of there.
Yeah, see, and you just keep an eye on it too. Make sure the seals are good if you're going to use the military cans. I just like my stuff separated, and the reason why I say that, you know how you can get you go to Walmart or whatever and get a value pack of 40 cal or whatever. I like to break it up. And then that way it's easier to take. If you're going to go to the shooting range, you don't have to take that big-ass block. You just grab, say, I want to shoot this pistol, and I'm going to grab 50 rounds of that, and I'm going to shoot that rifle.
Yeah, that's what we do. We separate it out. When we go to the range, we're all prepped. We don't touch the prepping stuff for just the range use.
Yeah.
When I qualified for the 50 cal in the Navy, the ammo can I opened up for the Browning 50 cal Browning machine gun was packed in 1945.
Yeah.
And this was in 1989 when I shot it.
That stuff lasts for all that old Russian war surplus stuff's out there. People are still buying that shit in cans. You know, the Mosin Nagant stuff in the spam cans. I mean, if it doesn't get air, if it doesn't get wet, if it doesn't, just if it's taken care of, it'll last a long time.
The only ammo I've had problems that was really, really old, and I mean old, I'm talking over 100 years old probably, it was the primer. And it was because they had corrosive primers, and the primer went bad. I actually pulled the bullets out of the cases, saved the powder, put a new primer in it, put the powder back in it, in the bullet, and was able to shoot it. It was just the primer went bad, but that's because it was a corrosive primer. It wasn't because, moisture got to it or anything like that. I mean, this stuff was boxed up in the late 1800s, early 1900s, or whatever.
Yeah, we're not real partial to Winchester. Here, we've had all kinds of stovepiping issues and other stuff with that feed problems and just the real dirty ammo. I don't know why. I'd be ashamed to put my name on that 9mm stuff they produce. But the federal stuff, we have good luck with that. Even the aluminum stuff and the Glocks will just eat that stuff like nothing.
So it was a Glock she was even having problems with?
No, the Beretta is a little finicky on the Winchester.
The white boxes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? That's the good thing about going out and shooting is finding the ammo that your gun doesn't like.
Hmm. And it's
Yep.
cheap crap. That wolf stuff works really, we never had any feed problems with the wolf. So it's really strange the way it all, we've had real good luck with the Bosnia-Herzegovina stuff too, some of that stuff. I never know what the hell they're going to have on the shelf, so I just try different things and try it out. I don't want feed problems. I hate that.
Yeah, that would suck to buy a few thousand rounds of ammo and then find out your gun don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That just gives you another reason to buy a different gun so you can make sure it works.
Yeah, that's why we have 3 or 4 here. Different ones.
That's a married husband thinking right there. That's what that was. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to buy a different gun.
Well, I told you guys we're looking for the 12 gauge for Christmas. A pump 12 gauge, probably Winchester for.
Mossberg 930.
Yeah, Mossberg's another great one too. It depends what I can get a good deal on. And we got a good local shop that they're good people. So
8 rounds of lead slinging.
Yeah, like I say, it's hard. It's hard to beat a damn pump shotgun. You know, people poke and jab to each other about different brands, but personally, I don't know that I ever seen a pump shotgun that had a problem working, unless it was just maybe just flat out worn out.
Well, that's what we use for shooting skeet. So that's what I was used to.
Gerald B brought up a good point about the some old ammo having some hang time. That's kind of scary, especially if you're not familiar with that. Basically, you pull the trigger, it went click, and that's why you keep it pointed in the safe direction until 10 to 20 seconds. That's a long time. That's like that one jackass with the shotgun where he looks down the barrel and it blows his hat off. That's the luckiest guy.
He's fucking lucky, pardon my French, but
oh hell yeah, he was.
Darwinian dipshit, So.
Yeah, no shit. God, I hate watching those videos. It almost pisses me off.
I hate being on fire. I hate being at the range sometimes with some of these idiots that bring their girlfriends and start getting a bit in their mouth and want to show off a little bit and wheeling around and stuff and just real cocky and stuff. And they put that 357 in their girlfriend's hand and she just reels backwards. And next thing she's on her ass with that thing going backwards over her head behind her. And you're just thinking to yourself, God damn, it was lucky nobody was shot with that thing.
I know. People
make a lot of those videos trying to make a funny video, but I wonder how many people have been shot because
nothing funny about
come
that.
Back with the gun,
I did a rambling on that one time. Rick's rambling.
I'll have to catch that because I just.
I was pissed when I saw this one and I'm like, God damn it! And it was some guy handing this 50-pound girl a freaking cannon. I'm like, I already knew it was going to happen before it started. So.
Well, that's the same thing that happened. There's an 80-pound, real skinny Asian gal, and she just reeled right over backwards with that. Zero control on that weapon, and the range master's just sitting there laughing. And I just said to Jen, you know what, pack up. We're just getting the hell out of here. This is ridiculous. This kind of crap. So you often see that where you get some, what I call the punksters out there that just picked up a gun and just going out there for shits and giggles. The selfies and all that kind of stuff.
How many people have been killed with a gun taking a fucking selfie and they shoot themselves in the head? How the fuck do you do that?
Didn't that just happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
A month ago, I think, right?
Yeah.
Hey, dumb is dumb. That's the only reason why we stay in business. If it wasn't for dumb people.
Yeah, thanks for the tip, Southern Style.
Yeah, I will say one advantage of the 870.
I do like a shorter barrel. Sorry, go ahead, TR.
I was just going to say you can add a magazine tube. I don't know exactly how it's done, but you can add a extended magazine tube to an 870 and get a few more rounds of ammo with it. 500 you can't. If you buy a Mossberg straight up 500, they do have a model that holds 8 rounds, But the one
930.
that just holds 5 rounds, there's nothing you can do about that. It's just
Isn't that 930? Doesn't that jam with the 9 rounds? I heard some people have had some problems with some feed problems.
If you ghost load it, I don't know. I tried it one time and it didn't work out for me. So I just run the 8 and I'm good to go.
You got to be good to go in situations.
Yeah, it's reliable.
But the Mossberg and Remington, you should be able to change the barrels and put whatever kind of barrel you want. Because mine came with a 28-inch barrel with a choke and all that, and I took it off and put a 18-inch smoothbore on it. All you do is unscrew the cap, open the action, and the barrel just falls right off.
And that guy Tex Grabner was the one that shot himself. Yeah.
Hey guys, I wanted just to stop by. I appreciate you, TR, letting me come in, and Rosie, thanks, and Blue.
Hey Rick, it's always fun. It's great to see you.
I got to get on a plane in a couple hours, and I got to figure out how to get a nap in there somehow before I go flying off into the sunset. So
great to see you. Safe travels, Rick.
Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching TR's BullRing, and if you guys don't or get a chance, swing by my channel and check it out. Hopefully you like it. Take care, you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
I'm going to grab something to drink real quick, TR.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So you say you bought the gallon-size Mylar bags, Blue?
Yeah, well, they're in my Amazon shopping cart. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because I wasn't sure how many, how many pounds of rice that I was gonna need to fill up a couple of those and beans and everything else. So.
Yeah, like I said, I just did a quick figure, and it may be 6 pounds in there, but I mean, figuring if 33 gallons goes into 5 gallons, and these are a gallon, it come out to 6.6 gallons is what you can put in it. Probably a little bit more than that, because you can see how much this, I ironed out. And well, not all of this is ironed out. Some of it's probably just sucked down, but I don't think I ironed down that far. But
right, and you said that if you were the next time you do it, you're only going to iron like an inch off the top to leave yourself more room to reseal, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I don't think you really need to, because like I said, 5 or 6 pounds of beans, if you get into that situation where you're starting to dip into that, it's going to last a few years anyway, whether it's sealed up or not.
Right.
That video I made where those weevils got into my rice that I didn't have sealed up in any way at all, just bags, the little bitty bags you get at the grocery store. I was just buying a few of them every time I went. It took about 3 years for that to get weevils in it. And the pinto beans and lentils and all the other beans that I bought at that time, nothing happened to them. I didn't get no bugs in them. I'm not saying you won't, but I didn't. They're still sitting in the shelf in there right beside that rice that had all the bugs in it. So I think the rice
you're going to do a
susceptible.
taste test on those soup packs that you picked up at Tractor Supply for that deal.
Yeah, I had a guy comment. He said he's done the chili, and he said it was really good. I don't know. I hadn't tried. I'll probably try one of them. I mean, that's more of almost like feeding a family 8 servings.
That's going to be a lot.
Yeah, that was a killer deal. And it was $6.99 was a normal price. I found my receipt was still in my truck. They were $6.99 normal, and they was on sale for $1.79.
Well, I know that my brother found that same deal here local, so it's if there's a Tractor Supply, I think I'm not sure if that Tractor Supply had that deal, but apparently he was able to find the little flyer from at least your area and showed them, and they gave it to him for that price. So
cool. Yeah, I mean, because like the price sticker that it had on it was like printed out with Tractor Supply clearance, da da da. It wasn't like something I just wrote on there with a magic marker or something, So that's why I was thinking this is probably national, or at least regional or something. That's why I did. I just thought it was a great deal, and I just couldn't resist. I was like, I might as well throw up a video. Somebody might go get a deal on this, I thought it was a deal.
Well, I know it at least helped. I mean, I can't remember how much he said he ended up picking up, but he got a lot of them.
Well, that's cool. Awesome.
Good deal.
Glad to know I could help. I know TRprepper said he was going to run by that next morning and wipe them out.
There you go.
I'd like to meet up with him one day. I don't know. You probably know who I'm talking about, Blue.
TRprepper.
MD Prepper. He's a doctor. And he actually has some land near me. He lives in the next county, I think. You never see his face. You never see him because he's, protecting himself because he is a doctor. But he's MD Prepper. So.
I wanted to ask Blue, I don't mean to change the subject, TR, but I just had a two-part question for Blue. What service weapon do you carry?
Yeah, well, I actually got it right here. Let me drop the mag real quick. Yeah, there we go. See, Glock 20. It's a 10 mm.
Okay. What trigger pull does that have on it?
For the pound?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It's
Okay.
light. It's light, but I know that if you end up missing, you can throw it at them and probably knock them out because the goddamn thing's so heavy.
I was going to say, because we had somebody that was on a range that really over-modded their Glock pull. They took it down to like a 1 pound or something like that, and they were just having an accidental discharge fire on that. I worried because my Beretta has a 5 pound, so you really have to squeeze that trigger to get that off, whereas Jen's Glock has like a 3 pound pull or something like that, and then there was this guy that modded it down to a 1 pound. And I wanted your opinion if you thought that might be a little risky that you can underdo the pull on that, because I know for target
as long as you keep your finger,
mm-hmm.
as long as you keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot at what you're aiming at, you're never going to have we don't call them accidental, they're negligent discharges.
That's better put. Yeah, so I just worry some of the mods that people do, because I don't see enough people keeping their fingers off of the outside of the trigger area, and you training to keep it up the side of the weapon. I don't see that a lot, and I worry when sometimes I perceive you get to these gun ranges and you hear people talking around you, and they're talking about what they do. And sometimes I fear that it gets to be a game in itself instead of having real utility value for some of these modifications. And I just worry if some of these people ever get into the pinch, they might have made their guns unserviceable when they really needed it the most.
The biggest thing we find, I mean, in the training and stuff that we do, none of my guys, thank God, but a lot of the negligent discharges are not actually when you are, loading, unloading, preparing to shoot. It's whenever you run into the drills where you go hands-on with somebody. And if you just imagine, you're a right-handed person, you have your weapon in your right hand, and, you're engaging a target. And once you engage that target, if for whatever reason, you judged it wrong, something happened, and you have to go hands-on with your weak hand, a lot of the negligent discharges that we're finding is more of the person that has their finger inside the trigger guard, and it's not that they're squeezing on purpose, but it's almost, if you grab something with your left hand, let's say somebody approaches you, and it's like, oh shit, I got my gun out and I'm not justified to shoot this person, and you go hands-on real quick while you're trying to reholster. You put that, you're grabbing and you're straining those muscles in your left hand. What's your right hand doing if your finger's not outside of that trigger guard? It's automatically wanting to squeeze.
That's a good
match
point.
what the left is doing, and that's when a lot of the discharges happen.
That's a good point. I didn't really ever think about it that way. That's interesting.
But I have to say, if somebody's getting a pistol down, especially like a semi-auto pistol for a service pistol or carry pistol or something, they getting it down around 1 to 1.5 pounds. That is too little. I could actually see just the slide slamming back home on a round, and that's something that's going off.
Yeah, that's what I worry about. I mean, at what point does it become a real threat, at least to yourself or those around you? Because it seemed like people were bragging about how much they modded down their pulls on these things. I'm like, whoa, dude, I don't want to be next to you on here with that. I mean, you just sit your gun down, your pistol down lightly. That son of a bitch might just.
Yeah, that's why I don't like. That's why I don't like chambering a rifle, and leaving it chambered, because a rifle, I mean,
Yeah.
people can argue with me if they want to, but I could see a lot of safeties on rifles failing. Not every kind of rifle. I'm not saying every rifle, but there's no way I would load my Mossberg 500, not have the safety on it, and then throw it down on the ground.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust it. It wouldn't go off.
Oh, no.
My 1911, my CZ75, my 357s, I have dropped them down steps and stairs.
I've dropped stuff and stomped at 38s, other things I've had over the years, but I've never been tempted to mod a.
I think 3.5 pounds would be pushing it. That'd be as far as I would go. My 1911s are around 4.5.
Target practice 3 is about as low as I would want to go, and I know it hurts me some when I have a 5 pound on the Beretta, but I think it's actually helped me over the long haul, because to be able to have that control on that, and then to step down when I take Jen's Glock 17, and oh wow, it's just like butter handling that thing. It's so nice and so smooth. So maybe there's something to be said for training on a bigger pool, even on a range.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, somebody shooting competition or something, that's a whole different thing. But if it's some gun for self-defense, I would never. 1 pound,
I want a heavy
pool. You breathe on it, it's going to go off. It's 3 pounds is light. I mean, very light. I mean, a 1911 is pretty famous for having light triggers. And like I said, I've checked mine, and they ride at 5 pounds. But you would never know it. I guess it just depends on the mechanism and stuff. But
and that's Galen. That's it. Lever guns. I'm still looking for my proverbial 1873 Winchester.
I don't know, Krat. I don't own one, so I don't know the Caltech carbines, 9mm 40s.
Now I'm going to be picking up. We're looking at this Ruger, not this Ruger, but it's a Rock Island. It's a combination 22 mag, and you can change it out for the 9mm. So it's really a cool little 22 feet per second on that, 2,200 feet per second on the mag 22. And I mean, brother, that's flying.
What kind did you say it was again?
It's a Rock Island. It's called. It's a combination. It's the 9mm. And it does the 22 Magnum load, 2,200 feet per second on that thing. It's a beast. Really cool little thing.
I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, we have. I have a what is it? It's a Ruger 40 caliber carbine. Somebody asked about the carbines, and I'll tell you, it's a fun gun to shoot, but basically what I use it for on duty is, I mean, we've got. We have the ARs, we have the shotguns, and basically the only thing I use that carbine for is to shoot a deer if somebody hits it with a car and doesn't kill it.
Yeah, that'll do the job. Right.
It's one of those deals where if you're out qualifying with it, Christ, even 100 yards, you shoot and it's you're shooting a pistol round out of a rifle, and it takes a while to get down range and hit. So. I don't think I'd trust it for stopping power. I mean, in a pinch, if I had to, I'd use it. But
probably, I don't know. I'm on the fence on the carbines. For one thing, the price, for what it costs to get a carbine, hell, you can buy a frickin' AK-47 or AR-15. So it's kind of like, So I've never been sold on the carbines. I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun to have, play around with it.
They're fun, and even with a 10-round mag, you're blasting through it. By the time you're done, you're like, God damn it.
It's a nice looking little rig, that Rock Island.
I had to look that up. I have no idea they was making it.
It's manufactured in the Philippines.
Yeah, one of my 1911s is. It's not technically a Rock Island, but it kind of is. It was made in the Philippines. It's got a different name on it.
Yeah,
just
they do
plain
some
Jane GI model, but hey, it works like a champ.
They do some nice armament over. They do some nice production over there. I've never really seen a sloppy
Mine's
know,
reliable enough that I've carried it concealed, even though it's a like like Blue was saying, a brick. I mean, I was carrying full size steel 1911. I carry it concealed every once in a while. Not my main one, but I have carried it.
Yeah, this Glock here, there is no concealing it. It's
With that big frame, those are big guns.
in the ammo, the 10 ammo. We get everything. Like state contract. It's so far on back order to try to get that shit. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. And like, we just qualified. Well, we didn't qualify. It was just a refamiliarization probably about a month ago, and we had to buy. It was just the American Eagle 10 brand, and it was $38 for 50 rounds or something. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I'm still surprised y'all using 10 millimeter. Did they go to 10 millimeter in the late 80s or early 90s when the FBI and everybody started going to 10 millimeter and just never went back to anything different? Or is this something?
And why did they step up to it?
Whenever I started, we had the Ruger P. Was it P945? I mean, we started off with a 40 Ruger, then we went to a 45 Ruger, and then we went to this Glock 10 and it's administrative.
Okay, gotcha. I know I talked to he wasn't a flat-out police officer. I can't remember what he was. It was some kind of like division that transports prisoners or something, I think what he was. I forget what his ABC letters were or whatever. But anyhow, I was in this restaurant, this little sandwich shop. And I've done this a few times. If I kind of get get a feeling from a guy that I might can talk to him, police officer, I'll just start out talking about his gun he's carrying.
Mm-hmm.
What you carrying? What caliber you carrying? And I run in this one in this sandwich shop. And I was just, hey, I seen it was a Glock. I think it was a Glock. Yeah, it was a Glock. I know it was a Glock. I said, what y'all carrying nowadays? Or what are you carrying? And man, that son of a bitch went off on a 20-minute rant. How he was pissed off because they was using the 45 GAP.
Wow.
So we sat there and had a conversation about ammo. He's like, I don't know why they didn't just go with 45s. What is it, 45 GAP? This oddball crap, blah, blah, blah. I think, and I don't mean to be trying to catch a police officer off guard or anything. That's just one, just something I think. It's something at least I have knowledge of, and I can stand on, we can have a conversation about it, you know what I mean? So I've done that a few times and start talking about the firearms they have and what caliber and stuff. And every time I've done it, which was on, the hell, TRprepper's out in the audience. That's just talking about them. I talked them up.
There we go. Good for hogs and black bear.
Anyway, it's just something, like I said, I won't say I do that to any police officer I've run across, but the few times I've done it, it's been a pleasant conversation. Sit there and shoot the bull a few minutes, I don't know if that's a good thing to do or not. You tell me, Blue.
Well, it kind of depends on who you run into. I mean, it's some people are like, oh, I'm not telling you what I'm carrying because they're, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I feel a little weird.
So you can defend against it, but it's a fucking gun. I mean, there for a while I was carrying that FN. The fuck was that? Oh my god, I can't remember the fucking caliber right now. But it's that FN, which it's basically a freaking pistol that's set up as an offensive weapon. And I had so many questions. What are you carrying that for? What's that for? And it was more or less, that's what I was issued. That's what I'm carrying. I can't.
Yeah.
They left that out for about, I don't know, maybe a year. Then they pulled those back. So.
Our TRprepper says something great for hogs and black bear. About 2 or 3 years ago, I had a black bear walk right by that window right there behind me in my yard in the middle of the day. And I met him. As he was coming this way, I was going that way. I got about I don't know, 20, 30 foot from them. And it's like we both kind of just finally seen each other. And it's like, oh, shit, that's a bear.
Well, obviously it turned out okay, but
Yeah, I just stopped, froze, and I just started slowly backing up. And once I got up to the porch, he just sat there and watched me the whole time. Then he went around the backyard, or back in the woods. I was like,
how big was he?
a lot bigger than me.
Right.
It was full size black bear for around here. I mean, they're not like the movie big fat. You know, they don't get real big fat like you see in TV or whatever. But if he just stood up, I'd have been looking way up at him. You know.
Southern Style was saying he's trying to figure out what's wrong with hard cast lead. I don't know. I don't think people cast that perfectly. I don't know. That's the rap I heard on that.
What's wrong with hard cast? Hey, Southern Style, hard cast lead. That's what I do.
I don't think some people cast it right, so it gets off balance.
Yeah,
there's an art. There's an art to casting lead things. And I just think people think you just slop it in and that's it.
Hell, I've been doing it for 20 years, so. Yeah, hard cast lead, I'm a big believer in nothing wrong with hollow points, defensive loads and all that, but to be honest with you, my carry guns have hard cast lead bullets. Just because that's what I got, that's what I shoot, I know where it's going to hit, I'm accurate with it. I know you got to be even more careful of your surroundings and background. I'm about to start carrying what I have been carrying a little bit, my CZ75, the 9mm. I am thinking about going to a defensive round for it, just because it is a little bit less.
Are you full-time carry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except at work. They won't let me carry at work for some reason. But, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I am.
I don't think there's a person out there that shouldn't be full-time carry. You just never know. I mean, I'm full-time carry. I mean, that's.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't carry at work, which is, I understand. Boy, I wish they'd let us, but they don't.
Well, we can't out here, Blue, because although there's been court and everything's been decided, the sheriff or the local police chief in the city is charged with issuing permits, and they're all backed up by the hundreds just waiting on the desk. And they both say, we're just not going to act on it. We don't want it, so sue us.
Yeah, South Carolina's fairly friendly on the concealed weapon permits. They're fairly easy to get. I mean, you could argue that having to pay $100 or more to get it is somewhat of a.
Well, I just think it's funny. Sure, come on down. There's the applications. Go ahead, fill one out. We'll get back to you.
Yeah. Well, South Carolina went shall issue, so unless they have some kind of legal reason not to, you got a felony or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to ask permission. If you pass the test, you go through the class, you pass the firearm test, the safety test, and all that. They have to give it to you unless there's something on your record that keeps you from getting it.
Yeah, we had to go through do a small thing and then be tested on that.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I don't know the legal terms, but I think there's a difference between, like I said, South Carolina is shall issue, and I think the states like what you're talking about is a will issue or something like that. More or less.
Well, it's just like the California Supreme Court said, issue them, and then it's up to the it's to be done by the sheriff or the local police chief of the city or the county, and they just sit there. So they're just opposed to guns in general. So. Just a California thing.
Yeah. I've seen a few videos of people complaining and talking about the concealed weapon thing in California. And like you say, from what I've gathered, it's like, okay, yeah, you can get one. we're making it where this is possible, but they're not issuing them.
Exactly. They're just stacked up hundreds deep, just sitting there. And what can you do? That's the purview of the police and sheriff's department. So.
Yeah. Which that sucks for you.
Yeah.
And everybody.
It does. It does.
Yeah,
at least we have no problems with having it at home on the property, taking it out to the range, transporting it. As long as we have the lock case and all that, we got no problems with anything. The stupid 10 round magazine.
Bullet button in your AR.
Yeah, I hear you, Paul.
That's just. I mean, I really don't even
Problem is, I like it too much out here. There's too many other offsetting things that I like.
I don't understand that.
So I just gotta suck it down. Good with the bad.
I don't even really like talking about the gun laws. I mean, I ain't saying I don't like it. I mean, I'll talk about it. But when you get into the gun myths and the reasons they want to pass this and this and this, I mean, it's so freaking ridiculous. It's just unreal. Even when they done the Brady bill, back in, what was that, mid 90s, 96, 97, maybe 95, I forget, somewhere in there. When they tried to do the assault weapon ban and all that, even then there was more people killed with toilets than there was a so-called assault weapon, a semi-automatic rifle. There was literally more people killed with toilets, like in bar fights or something, where they're fighting a bar and somebody slams somebody in the toilet. More people were killed. And the other thing was more people were killed by dishwashers, where they had the dishwasher open and like a fork or a knife up and tripped and fell on it. More people were killed that way than they were by semi-automatic rifles. And they still passed it. You gotta protect them.
You gotta love that MX420 kid on this side. Oh boy. Didn't work well anyway, Paul, this thing, because I got this GMC RV74, and when you go to fill it, it doesn't, the automatic shutoff won't work on the fill on that. So they give you could buy this little like a styrofoam little thing for $3. It's supposed to allow it to work. Well, that POS didn't work at all. That's what Paul's laughing about. So you have to stand there, it's a pain in the ass, and keep the pump running yourself while you're putting 50 gallons in.
Well, guys, unfortunately, it's the 11 o'clock hour, so.
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for me too. TR, a lot of fun tonight. We always wonder what we're going to talk about, and then we always talk it. So always come up with it. Hey, Blue, nice to see you again.
Oh, as always. And do you actually post videos? Because I keep subscribing to you, but I never see you showing up in my feed.
Yeah, I got like 3,130.
I'll have to check into that, because you keep saying you post, and I'm never seeing them. I'm like, what the hell?
It probably crushed your inbox.
Yeah, you make a video every day, don't you, Rosie?
Yes, 3 or 4 a day. But be safe, Blue.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Well, if it's ending, I'll stick around till the sign-offs.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. If anybody want to say goodbye or anything, you kind of did already, but
yeah, another great chat. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on again, TR. It's always fun. You always have a good crew. You always have an excellent side chat here, and a hell of a lot of people come in to watch it. That's a real joy to see.
Yes, it has become actually a pretty popular chat. I'm very happy with it. Glad we put this together. It kind of got off of what we started, but that's okay. It's worked out just fine, and I like the way it's going. So,
all right.
Thanks for coming on.
All right. Well, take care, fellas, and have a good rest of the week and your weekend.
All right. You too.
All right.
See y'all
later.
You want to hang around?